Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special, and by special, I mean me and Nando are both on the road. We're not in our home studios to record this. A
Yeah.
very special edition of the Woke Bros. I'm Big Waz, aka Wozni Lambre. That's Nando Vila. He's headed to a Jack White concert of all
Yeah.
places. But yeah, let's just get right into it, Nando. I'm actually here in San Francisco, the city by the bay. I'm here for the NBA Finals. Game one will be Thursday night. You guys should be getting this Thursday morning. Pretty excited. My second ever NBA Finals. Pretty dope shit.
Where are
But
you,
yeah,
are
let's.
you going to the actual game?
Yeah. Going to the game, of course.
Where are your
You know,
seats, dude?
I'm big time NBA media. What do you mean? I've been
That's
assigned a
right.
seat as credentialed. What are you talking
Hell yeah.
about, man? I'm one
Hell
of the
yeah.
big dogs. But
Hell yeah.
man, listen, I wanted to talk to you about just a couple of things. Of course, what's been in the news is the shooting down in how do you say that? Uvalde, Texas.
Uvalde. Yeah, and there was another
Uvalde.
one just there was another one just now that just broke in Tulsa.
Saw
Yeah.
that. Tulsa, Oklahoma. People getting popped. Out in Buffalo, New York, which didn't quite have the black, white, whatever dynamic or whatever, so people kind of wanted to ignore it. That happened very recently, and as is always the case, the gun control, blah blah blah, yada 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 stuff has been in the news, Nando, and I hate to say this shit, but like this is it's so cyclical at this point, like there's no difference in anything that happens. Everybody's outraged. Everybody gets mad when the Republicans offer thoughts and prayers. Everybody gets all high horsey. You guys just need to do something. Blah blah blah, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. But nothing ever really gets done about it. And I think we all know why. The gun lobby. One, look, there's like we're to the point where like it's not like cocaine, right? Where like if theoretically if the war on drugs worked, you could like stop cocaine from coming in and there would just be people would just use up all the rest of the coke that was left and it'd be gone, right? Or heroin or weed or whatever. With guns, like there's already hundreds of millions of guns here. They're not gonna go anywhere,
Yeah.
save for the government stepping in a way that just it just doesn't seem very likely. So like you can't get rid of the amount of guns that's here. Add to the fact that the gun manufacturers and the gun lobby are so rich and so influential, they flood so much of the zone with money. So the politicians aren't interested in it because they're awash in gun cash. And I was making this point this morning when I did TYT with our man J.R. Jackson. And you're somebody who pointed this out to me too, Nando. Americans think of themselves first as people who are buying shit, consumers,
Yeah.
right?
Consumers.
Like it's
Yeah.
like my right to get a gat. It's my right to buy this stuff. I love it. It's another product. You can't deprive me of my right to buy this shit. And so you put all of those three things together and it becomes this circular shit. And then, of course, you got a fucking Democratic Party who claims to care about this stuff, who literally can never lift a finger on it, no matter how powerful they are. And you get a bunch of people whistling, a bunch of people howling at the moon, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it's become really depressing, and it really and it's just one of the other bleak things about living in this kind of anti-political time in America. The assault weapons ban that was went into effect in 1994, which lapsed under the Bush administration in 2004, really felt like the last gasp at an attempt to do something about the epidemic of gun violence in America. I mean, I think after Sandy Hook happened and nothing happened, you know what I mean? After Sandy Hook, where
Yeah,
they killed,
it was over.
30, yeah, and like nothing happened after that, then, it's literally unimaginable for a mass shooting that is like kind of horrific enough that will get anything to be changed meaningfully. I mean, the one that people don't even talk about was the Las Vegas shooting. Do you remember that guy?
Oh, of
He killed like
course.
80 people or
He was
some
like a
shit in a
sniper at a roof, wasn't
yeah,
he? Wasn't it like a
yeah.
festival or a concert or
Yeah,
something
I was at a
crazy?
country music concert. He just like just sprayed the crowd with bullets and killed like you know and like no one even knows why and like nothing was done after that. Um, it's really depressing and it just shows how in our system because people talk about the gun lobby and I understand why and people talk about the money of the gun lobby and it's not quite it's not quite as it's not that really it's like it really isn't like the gun industry is nowhere near the size of say the healthcare industry or the
Right.
banking industry or big tech or oil industry or whatever. It's comparatively a tiny industry and if you look at campaign donations it's not even that big of they just don't even the reason why is because they don't need to because the NRA is in a twisted way what a political party should be or a minoritarian political party should be. Like, for example, like the DSA should copy the NRA, right? In that they have these kind of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the country who are paying members of the NRA and that enforces a certain discipline on its members and can rally enough voters in specific elections where they can tip the balance especially in Republican politics. So it is actually in a weird way, a example of
Of an
how
effective institution.
of an effective democratic institution, and that it's effective at moving people to the polls and enforcing a sort of party discipline that can punish politicians if they don't get in line and things like that. So that's what's depressing about our system, in that such a small number of people who are well organized, especially when it comes to throwing sand in the gears, rather than kind of like doing something positive. Like, the NRA can't pass new laws like that, or like, but I mean, they've won, so it doesn't really matter. But like, what they can do is just prevent anything from happening. There've enough of a small, but well, organized and militant minority that they are able to throw enough sand in the gears where just nothing ever happens. And yeah, I mean, the Democrats, like, it's just like an absolute joke at this point. Like, they're not even pretending to do anything about it. Like, they're just like sitting around saying like, Republicans, please do something, even though we're the party in power. I mean, that's great messaging, folks. Like, this is how powerless we are that we just have to beg Republicans who are in the minority to do something. I mean, it's hard to, it's just it's one of those things where, like, as you pointed out, there's hundreds of millions of guns. The logistics of like removing them are insane. Obviously, like, any sane country would ban the sale of new assault weapons, because that's like
Yeah.
what that's these AR-15s, man. They're just like fucking killing machines. And all these kind of mass shooters are just buying AR-15s, like, and then just going to school and shooting them up. But it's just one of those things that, like, it's becoming pretty obvious that if you want to live in America, you live under the risk of just being shot to death by some psycho, whether it's in a school or in a mall or at your place of work or at the gym or wherever. It's just part of life in America, and there's just not much we can do about it.
Yeah, and I think people have socialized and instilled themselves to think that, like, look, kids getting popped at school, that's just cost of doing business, collateral damage, uh whatever the terms or euphemisms you want to use, is just like them bees the breaks. Okay, like, if we're gonna have our guns, which people think they so richly deserve, this is just what's gonna happen, and that's gonna be part of it. I think that's a one, but I also think that people overestimate what the gun show loophole, or what they call common
Yeah,
sense gun control would fix. Because apart and I know, like, a lot of liberals are just like, they roll their eyes when they hear Republicans say, yo, deranged people are doing this. Like, it's true though. Like,
yeah.
it's
Well,
mentally
that's what the
deranged people doing
the
it.
background check would help.
Yeah.
Like, in some degree, it would help. I mean, and it is insane that they can't even get the background check thing, because the background check takes what, like 2 3 days, like even just the cool down period, like
Yep.
where if
Hmm.
some guy gets like angry and then decides to do this, and then they have to sleep on it for 3 days and shit. Maybe it doesn't sound like such a good idea anymore, you know? But yeah, they can't even do that.
Yeah, and I think the mental health component of it, and like nobody ever wants to see it as this holistic, but when you live in a country and you leave everybody on their own and basically like, yo, you got to fend for yourself, fam, and
Yeah,
whatever happens to you sort of happens to you.
yeah,
I think this is what you're gonna get, like people
yeah,
who are suffering with mental problems, emotional problems, and don't have access to treatment. There's no infrastructure that is out there to help them. Like, look, if you're rich as fuck and you need help with a mental breakdown and you need help with a drug addiction, you need help with different kinds of things, you can check yourself into a rehab. You don't have to work for a living, so you won't become homeless. Like you can take the time that you need to heal. Like all of these things, like if you are an independently wealthy person, there's private access to the kinds of
yeah,
stuff that you need. But as far as the state apparatus taking care of people that are, that have problems and need help, it just doesn't exist. And so all of these things become compounded in a country that is just like literally you're just tripping over guns
yeah,
in this damn place.
yeah. I mean, that's why, like, if I had to pick like one, reform, like if I had a magic wand, I can pick one reform in America. Like, it might be Medicare for all. Like, because
Mm,
of what you just talked about. Like, Medicare for all would solve so many social ills in this country, from reducing the amount of gun violence, reducing the amount of suicide by guns, which is still the number one cause of gun death, is suicide by guns.
hmm.
It would reduce the amount of domestic violence in this country. It would reduce all kinds of social ills that are epidemic in this country would be solved by just access to healthcare. I mean, that's just a reality. Obviously, I would still like to um, get the guns off the streets and all that stuff, but like healthcare and access to healthcare just compounds in so many ways to other social ills in ways that are not entirely obvious, but man, like when you start to look at it that way, you start to realize, like, in this country, if you're not rich, you're living on the edge all the time, and that is going to
Hmm.
drive you insane. Like, it just is. Or for a certain amount of people, it is. Yes, everyone's like, a lot of people are strong and fight through it, but a lot of people just succumb to it, and they do horrible shit, whether it's kill other people or kill themselves or beat their wife or whatever. Like, it's a violent place because the state allows it to be a violent place, because the state does not take care of people, that there is no social safety net in America. It just lets people fall, and then people get desperate and or crazy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, man, these clusters of mass shootings and mass deaths. I mean, like to be honest, the gun issue is not something that we're super attuned here, at Woke Bros, because like it's kind of so fucking just the lay of the land at this point, and it feels pretty fucking settled, especially when you consider, like Nando said, fucking Parkland. They were just like, eh, and so
Yeah,
once you see that and it's over, but yeah, we felt like it was important to talk about it because a lot of people feel like angry about it, and rightfully so, and feel scared. There's
yeah,
people in New York City now, like the crime has risen in so many freaking cities, the sort of metropolitan centers of our country, where crime is up across the board, man, from New York to LA, violent crime at that, and so many people are scared. And I understand, and do yourselves a favor, don't even bother looking at Sleepy Joe and his cohort in that damn party, because I'll tell you what, you're gonna be holding your dick at the end of the day, waiting for those dudes and gals to do anything for you. And so we move on from obviously what's been tragic and horrible, to something less tragic, less horrible, and quite frankly more funny. Um, the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. Johnny Depp, excuse me, I don't know why I said Depp. Johnny Depp case has come to an end. He's been awarded $15 million in damages. Nando, can you can you give the people a brief recap of what's been going on with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not something I paid close attention to. Once I heard something about a shit getting taken on somebody's bed, I was like, all right, this might not be the news story for
Yeah.
me. Can you give the people a brief overview about what's been happening with them?
So I guess it was a couple years ago. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were married for a while, and I guess it was a couple years ago that Amber Heard wrote an op-ed. I think it was in the Washington Post, basically accusing Johnny Depp of domestic abuse.
Hmm.
And Johnny Depp then decided to sue her for defamation.
Mm.
Um, and she then countersued. So there was these twin lawsuits, and I'm not an expert on this shit, but like for whatever reason, it was like it was sued in the state of Virginia. The lawsuit happened in the state of Virginia, which for whatever reason like allowed for camera, like just for whatever reason, this court case, like, which actually went to trial. It wasn't settled, which like half of these things are more than these things are usually settled. Was broadcast live on TV and became kind of the latest front of the culture war.
Hmm.
Liberals kind of reflexively sided with Amber Heard,
Which, like,
and
why?
well, yeah, and conservatives reflexively sided with Johnny Depp. What I can guarantee you is that neither side, like, actually kind of looked at the facts of the case, because this issue has been kind of politicized to the point where it doesn't matter, and that's kind of crazy. And the fact that he won pretty decisively, and the reactions to it, I find, are both kind of fascinating, but also um, dispiriting in terms of the discourse of today's time, in which, like, again, everything gets thrown into the culture war, and if you're like on the good team,
Yep.
you're supposed to, like, no one actually looking at it. And I think that the fact that a jury kind of so overwhelmingly sided with Johnny Depp, should give people pause about the way you kind of latch onto these narratives that are bigger than the actual facts at hand. Like, I mean, Johnny Depp produced some audio, of Amber Heard, basically, like, it's crazy because you never get this in a trial where, like, the person is like literally admitting to the crime, like, out loud,
Hmm.
where he was like, maybe because he knew he was recording her, and he was like, "What are you doing right now?" He's like, "I'm hitting you right now, and I'm trying to provoke a physical fight with you." And he's like begging her not to, and she's like, "Stop being such a fucking pussy," like, "I didn't even hit you that hard," and it's like, man,
Nando,
like,
believe women.
yeah, the
Hashtag believe
credibility,
women.
yeah, the credibility of Amber Heard took a very serious a hit on that one. But again, like, I think people are, very quick to try to derive some larger political meaning from any of this stuff,
Hmm.
like, that this is, a danger to all women or whatever. And, like, man, I don't know that that's the case, or at least that your people are turning it into something bigger than it should be, rather than just like a dispute between two people that is being adjudicated in the courts. And we should just try to, like, follow the facts and see,
Well, hold on,
without,
Nando. Nando, a
yeah,
woman accused a guy of domestic violence in the Washington Post. It has to be true.
yeah,
It surely it has to be true. Never mind that this woman is a celebrity, and I tell people this all the time. These people get paid to lie to us. That's
yeah,
their job. Man, woman, in between, whatever, non-binary, you name it. Celebrities lie to us for a living. So this idea that just because Amber Heard is a woman, nothing else about her matters. And everything that she says or accuses people of should just be taken as gospel. Forget about due process and just the fucking legal system that we have in place is just be like, yo, she's a chick, so nah, it's true. It's kind of just ridiculous. And then of course, we get my favorite part of all of this, Nando. The Root puts out an article saying that what this Amber Heard verdict means for black women. Somehow, this is
Yeah.
a this fucking celebrity circus somehow has a meaning to black women at large in America.
Yeah.
These two ultra rich people and their silly grievance and dispute has a bearing on the lives of black women at large in America, rank and file black women. I think about those women in Bessemer, Alabama, Nando, who were trying to unionize for Amazon.
Yeah.
Surely this is a commentary on their everyday lives and the material circumstances that dictate how they live. Surely, Nando, this
Yeah.
this is a great indication of what life
Yeah.
means for them.
Yeah, I mean, and I just think often people left of center, often liberals, like they don't realize the blowback to certain things that they kind of push. You know what I mean? Like that reflexively siding with Amber Heard over like a very popular celebrity, man, Johnny Depp, without like without paying any attention to the facts of the case, or like pre-condemning, like
Hmm.
having your mind made up before even the facts are laid out. Like, let's say the facts came out and it was true that Johnny Depp was, or it became very obvious that Johnny Depp was abusing her. That'd be one thing. But the Johnny Depp was condemned in the court of kind of liberal public opinion before they even stepped foot in a courtroom. And people, like, often liberals, people don't realize, like, most people just don't feel that way. They don't like that shit. They want, like they want to just figure out, like, okay, or like they want to give people a chance to, like, defend
Let's see how
themselves
it
or
plays
whatever,
out.
like, yeah,
Let's
like
see
see
how
how
it
it plays
plays
out.
out.
And it's like now, like, you've gotten to the point where the House GOP Twitter account just tweeted out like a Jack Sparrow gif, like from the Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, it's turned him into a right wing hero. And the thing is, like, I don't know that the liberal kind of side has a solid foundation to stand on, but they've just handed them this like massive victory, right? Like, the facts of the case came out, and the jury like overwhelmingly sided with Johnny Depp. Like, it's just it's they just set themselves up for the L so hard, and just handed the reactionary elements of this country a huge victory. And it's like, just tactically, guys, like, what are you doing? Like,
and
how do you
and
not
and
take the
this is
obvious kind of position of just being like, let's see what the court like, I don't know, let's evaluate the evidence and see what the court says, instead of just like pre-condemning someone without knowing anything.
and this is the best. This is my favorite part about our current moment. Like, we've never been a more politically oriented people ever. We literally redound everything to politics and what side you stand on. However, we've never had dumber fucking politics
Yeah.
ever. Like, it's
Yeah.
never been this stupid. Like, look, if people were hyper politicizing everything, and it was like, man, I wonder what Johnny Depp lies on upping social security, right? Like, we should give people more social. Where does he stand on healthcare? Where does he stand
Yeah.
on the minimum wage? Where does he stand on housing policy? Like, no.
Yeah.
It's all of this identity politics bullshit, and that's all they care about, and that's what politics means to them. So it's like, in a moment where, like, in the 90s, where no, like, politics just didn't come up. Like, nobody knew what Kurt Cobain's politics were. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? To now, where everybody is just hyper political, but now it's just political about the stupidest shit. Literally, Amber fucking Heard. I couldn't name a movie this chick's been in.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
I
know
don't know
anything
about your.
about this woman.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about, like, in your life, your personal life wise, but like, just anecdotally in my life, like, the kind of my like normie friends, like the ones that aren't like super online,
Mm-hmm.
the ones that just have like kind of normal jobs and like normal day to day existence, like, that aren't like super politicized, like, they're all broadly kind of liberal.
Hmm.
Like I have a few conservative friends or whatever, but I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about just kind of like normie liberal kind of people who aren't super online or not like following the discourse obsessively.
Hmm.
Um, they all more or less sided with. They were all more or less like, this shit sounds like, it sounds like Johnny Depp like is being done dirty over here. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, um, and
It's
like,
simple.
and it's like, and it's like, I don't. It's like you're handing like a victory to the right wing, like just so obviously. You know what I mean? Like people don't like people just generally don't like people to be falsely accused of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's just and it's and like to just have like everyone then just jump on top of it and be like, this is we can't even look at the facts. We
Yeah,
just gotta just
if
assume
rich
this is
white
okay.
blonde Amber Heard can't have her credibility impugned on record and get away with it, it means black women in America are doomed. It's just it's the most ridiculous, stupid shit you've ever heard. But then, of course, it's Pride Month, ladies and gentlemen, which means that the U.S. Army wants you to know that somehow the killing machine standing with the gays, or I don't know, whatever. You
Yeah,
need to know about
the
that. What was the other
Pinkerton,
joint? Oh,
the
the fucking
Pinkerton
Pinkerton.
Pinkerton Agency. Oh, it's incredible. The Pinkerton Agency, which is still around. I can't believe they're still around.
Guys, just
Um,
go look up the Pinkertons, bro. Like this was like before J. Edgar Hoover got in charge of the
yeah,
FBI and he could do shit like COINTELPRO. When the ruling class wanted to jam people up, they hired the Pinkertons.
yeah,
Before they basically
yeah,
got the United States government to subsidize this type of dirty work, they hired the
yeah,
Pinkertons.
yeah,
This company has been around for 150, 200 years or something ridiculous like that. Security company. They put out a Pride Month tweet. I
yeah.
mean,
No, if you were like a railroad baron in 1871, and some fucking workers that like, after like a big tragedy and like 30 of them died in like in some explosion or some shit because your safety regulations were no good, and they wanted to form a union so that this never happened, and you needed to kill like maybe 50 of them just to send a message, you'd hire the Pinkertons. That's
yeah,
that's like and they would just come in. The government more or less looked the other way, and then they would just like murder a bunch of union organizers. And that's basically what they did. They also spied on people and shit. They're just
of
like
course.
maybe one of the most evil things to ever exist. They're still around. Most of what they do today is they get hired by like Mexican oligarchs or like rich people in the Hamptons who are convinced that the rabble are gonna like rise up and steal their fucking
Mm,
jet skis or
mm,
whatever, so that they do like
mm.
private security for rich people. But they put out a tweet saying that like we at the Pinkerton Agency celebrate Pride Month, and we love to recruit agents who are LGBTQ plus IA.
Yeah,
And we stand in solidarity. It's like, oh my god, dude, this is like
yeah,
maybe the funniest example of like woke
yeah.
washing that I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be pretty tough to beat the CIA and
Yeah,
that commercial where the brown woman
I
was
have
talking about.
imposter syndrome. I'm a queer
Yeah, yeah,
Latina.
yeah,
I have
yeah, yeah,
imposter
yeah,
syndrome.
yeah,
It's social
yeah.
anxiety disorder.
It's gonna be tough to top that, but this comes pretty fucking close.
Yeah. My one of the classics that I'll never forget is the Navy painted one of their fighter jets pink in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm just like imagining like a
They're
pink
gonna
fighter jet
drop
like
bombs on brown
flying.
kids' heads in
Yeah,
the Middle East from a pink fucking plane. It's perfect.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
perfect.
Like they're gonna blow up some wedding in Afghanistan, and like they're gonna drop the bomb, like and
And it'll
obliterate
be
an entire
fine
family,
because
and be like,
the
"Hey, check
plane.
for lumps. Check for lumps while you're picking up your son's fucking
Oh,
limbs from the floor. Just check for lumps, and you'll be okay."
oh, fantastic. Well, guys, that's our show for today. We apologize for the audio difficulties. We'll be back next week, bigger, stronger than ever. Make sure you subscribe to Count the Dings Patreon. Make sure you're checking out all the Count the Dings offerings. We're out of here, guys. Peace out.
Later.